The legacy of the Jedi is an ancient practice spanning back for generations. As paragons of peace and order, the Jedi have always been ready to serve the Republic and come to the aid of those who need them. For hundreds of years, they have inducted new members into their order, trained them to knighthood, and sent them across the galaxy to help those who needed a Jedi. And today, we will be discussing an interesting aspect of the Jedi Order and tradition, that being their very ranking system. Explore what each of these ranks mean, and the duties of them. So, students and acolytes of the Force, welcome back to our archives, and let us open up another holocron. The entry-level rank of a Jedi is referred to as a Jedi Youngling, where new recruits take general courses. This is where they learn the very basics of the Jedi arts, and they are not yet paired with a master. Here, these younglings learn the basic forms of lightsaber combat, entry-level force abilities, and general meditation, as well as other essentials. And this rank will be carried until the Youngling Trials. For years, these younglings will hone their knowledge, skills, and abilities, learning the intricacies of the Jedi Code and becoming functional students of the Force. Only after successfully passing the Initiate Trials are they promoted to the rank of Padawan, wherein they begin their one-on-one tutelage with a seasoned Jedi Knight or a Jedi Master. The Initiate Trials would often help to assess possible pairings between a Padawan and a Master, and this would be a Jedi's first experience in the field. Shadowing their mentor, they would embark on a quest from across the galaxy, helping their master in diplomacy and conflict alike as they learn the ways of a seasoned Jedi and the galaxy itself. Apprentices under a seasoned Jedi can last for different durations of time depending on when an apprentice is deemed worthy of taking on their next set of trials, which gives them their first potential graduation to the rank of knighthood. After years of practice and study under a Jedi Master or a seasoned Jedi Knight, a Padawan is able to take on the trials of knighthood, and do so in order to see if they are truly ready to become a Jedi. If they succeed, then they graduate to the rank of Knight, but unfortunately, not all Padawans that are trained are able to pass the Padawan trials. The ones who wash out are most often placed in the Jedi Service Corps. Here, there are 4 different possibilities for a failed Jedi graduate. The first is the Agricultural Corps, who are in charge of growing and harvesting food for the Greater Order. The second option is the Medical Corps, the learning field medicine, and sometimes going through combat medic training in order to aid the Jedi in the field. The Exploration Corps were tasked with charting new territory and exploring the unknown regions of the galaxy. And then you have the Educational Corps, who pride themselves on the collection and distribution of knowledge, and training the next generation of Jedi on an academic level. If a Jedi did graduate, however, then their knighthood was split into one of 2 different categories, but more on that in just a moment. Regardless of which type of Jedi Knight they became, they were now able to operate completely independently, taking on missions by themselves if they wished, while still being expected to uphold the Jedi Code. The 2 most common variants of a Jedi Knight were the Guardian and the Consular, which was normally visually represented by the color of the Jedi's lightsaber. While there were other variants, most of them were highly unusual by the era of the Clone Wars, but we'll be sure to touch on those as well in just a moment. A Jedi Guardian, most widely recognized by their blue lightsabers, were known for being field soldiers and avid combatants, unafraid to fight and use the Force if necessary. These Jedi were the first line of defense, trained in crowd control and de-escalation in order to maintain peace, and Jedi Guardians were often trained in one of 3 categories. First, there were the ground forces, known as peacekeepers who would be deployed to worlds in need. These were Jedi like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, who often saw ground duties throughout the Clone War. Jedi starfighters were highly trained pilots who often sought naval conflict, using their ships in fighting battles that took place in the depths of space. And then you have the Temple Guards, which are commonly Sentinels but can be filled by the role of a Guardian, and they are tasked with the security of the very Jedi Temple and home of the Jedi. These can be identified by their yellow crystals, lightsabers that are granted to them for this position and this position only, and not the main lightsaber that they constructed when they became a Padawan. And then you have the second train of thought, which is the Jedi Consular, marked by green blades, cared more about the exploration of the Force and using their skills of knowledge and diplomacy to solve conflict with words and not violence. While many consulars were incredibly talented combatants in their own right, and very few were afraid of a fight, they prioritized more peaceful options whenever possible, and many were very skilled negotiators. The Consular is perhaps the most versatile rank, as there are several different variants to the Consular as an identity. The most talented Consulars are known as Sage Masters, and are known for their deep connection to the Force, which remains unmatched among other Jedi. Jedi Seers are Jedi with such an innate connection that they can manifest visions of the past, present, and even future through their use of the Force. And this is the most common source of Jedi prophecies, including that of the sacred Chosen One legend. Jedi ambassadors and diplomats typically represented other regions of the galaxy and were at the forefront of negotiation and intergovernmental matters that dictated the very course of the galaxy. Then you had the lore keepers, who were among the most well-read librarians in all of the Jedi Order, making them some of the most well-read individuals in the galaxy. These Jedi preached the collection and utility of knowledge and peace, only resorting to violence when absolutely necessary. Jedi Sentinels are something of an abnormality now though, and don't easily fall into one category or the other. A Sentinel are oftentimes pursuant to their own goals or areas of study that don't typically fall into one of the Jedi Order's established practices. These renegades are often disconnected from the Council itself and follow their own path. Although not always, some have claimed that the likes of Quinlan Vos or even Qui-Gon Jinn might qualify as modern examples of the Jedi Sentinel, though they are more commonly associated with Consulars due to the inherent instability of the Sentinel classification. Sentinels, though, were more common during the early days of the Jedi, and the rank typically didn't see much identification when the era of the Clone Wars began. But now that we've discussed some of the classes, let's move on with the rankings. Following training an apprentice to the rank of knighthood was the knight eligible for the rank of master, and masters were given exclusive access to clandestine areas of the Jedi archives, the forbidden areas. They had access to more knowledge and more information than those of lower ranks, and the Jedi High Council was almost exclusively composed of masters. The only exception was Anakin Skywalker, who was only denied the rank of master because his own Padawan, Ahsoka Tano, left the Jedi Order before she was able to pass the trials and attain the rank of Jedi Knight. Moving on, within the Council there are only two more exclusive ranks, the first of which is known as the Master of the Order, which is typically held by the second in command to the Jedi Grand Master. During the era of the Clone Wars, this rank was held by Mace Windu until the Battle of Geonosis, wherein he renounced the rank for not killing Count Dooku when he had the chance. And finally, of course, is Grand Master of the Jedi, held only by one individual at a time, and is the leader of the Jedi Council and head of the Order as a whole. Beyond this though, there are a few miscellaneous ranks such as that of the Jedi Battlemaster, whose duties were to serve as the head of lightsaber combat training and exotic weapon specialists that serve as the subsects of the aforementioned ranks. But this list provides a broad overview of Jedi training with a basic understanding of each inherent rank. But anyway, my friends and acolytes, what are your thoughts on today's lore entry and holocron opening? What are your thoughts on the various ranks of the Jedi Order? And as for the big question, if you could choose between the classes of a Sentinel, Guardian, and Consular, what path and thought would you ultimately follow? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting our archives. May the Force be with you, and I hope to see you soon.